All right. Hi. Thank you for joining me after 2 pies yesterday. We're here for third time lucky.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry about that, babes. What can I say? It's been one of those weeks. Got the old notification from daycare that hand, foot, and mouth is ramping through. So, yeah, just been dealing with that.
Okay. Well, my problem is I was looking fresh yesterday, and in the time it's taken to do this again, I've now got 2 big spots on my chin. But anyway, let's just get started. So, hi everyone. I'm Tocky.
And I'm Charlie.
And this
is Sisters in a Hot Mess.
This is a podcast about parenting in a climate crisis. This is a podcast where we're going to tackle the tough questions and challenges that parents face when trying to best raise their kids in a climate crisis. We're going to hopefully offer some relatable and honest space for parents who are overwhelmed by climate change. But we also want to understand more about it for our kids and the planet. Through humour, insightful conversation and advice, our podcast navigates this massive topic and a sense of learning from each other and making parenting a positive change. So we're going to talk, laugh, occasionally bicker and figure out how to raise the next generation of change makers.
So today we're going to be talking about who we are, why we're doing this, the topics that we're going to be covering over the coming 10 episodes. And hopefully we'll manage to get through recording each episode without having to wipe anyone's arse, find anyone's bunny, or be the one that has to make breakfast.
Truth.
But before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land of which I'm recording, the land of the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the East Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and to any First Nations or Indigenous people listening today. I would like to acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. So at the beginning of each episode, because I'm here in Melbourne, or Narn, I'll start off with an acknowledgement of country. I'd also like to invite everybody listening to reflect for a moment about the country that you're listening to this podcast on. And while listening, think about how interconnected and essential Indigenous knowledge and practices are to solving the climate crisis.
Nice work.
So I'm Charlie, mum to 3-year-old identical twin girls, Lenny and Dylan, married to a delightful Kiwi called Tom. I'm a climate researcher and lawyer, but don't worry, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to help us figure this out together, enjoy the peace and quiet during our recording sessions.
Okay, I am Tocky. I'm a marketeer in the medical industry for a company specialising in life-saving hemostatic dressings for the battlefields and EMS services. I am parenting a crazy 1.5-year-old with my gorgeous partner, Zach, and we're just riding that crazy life and wave of toddler life at the moment. Going back to work after mat leave was a wild transition, which kind of brings us to why we're here. But before we start, CT, how has your week been so far?
Yeah, also I touched on before. Had a bit of a handful of mouth in the house, which of course has come at the craziest time. Had an exam this week. I've got my waffle spotlight sessions this week. Work's crazy, and the twins are crazy. So yeah, it's been a week, as they say. How about you?
Babes, she's such a boss bitch. It's just amazing. Yeah, Edie is crazy but delightful. She's teething a lot at the moment with her molars. So we're also learning about sharing and how to share. But I think we have more of that as a problem because obviously the little sissy girls had each other to share with and Edie's got no one. So it might be becoming a prevalent problem. But anyway, so...
She's hitting our grandma.
Exactly. So that's just another thing to deal with. But anyway, so I guess our name kind of gives us away, Sisters in a Hot Mess. I'm obviously the younger, fresher, better looking one. I'm joking. You obviously look a lot younger than me, even though you're older than me. But yes, we obviously don't get to see each other very often. I'm here in Manchester where both Charlie and I grew up, and she left me to move to Australia for a better life. But we obviously talk a lot, pretty much every day, if not twice a day or more times a day. But mostly these days, we just talk about parenting, our crazy children, shits, sicks, all that stuff, and a lot about our own parents as well. But yeah, that's us.
All they mostly need these, it's just a twin wanting to press the red button and hang up on you halfway through a sentence. I'm excited to have an excuse to actually talk to you uninterrupted for like 30 minutes or so every couple of weeks, where either the kids are asleep or Tom or Tom and Zach are in charge. Shout out to them.
Shout out.
What's that saying? Behind every great woman, there's a great man.
Well, I'm getting excited and I'm having a little gin to celebrate our first podcast. So I'm super buzzed to be doing this with you and spend this time with you. And I think the idea came from realising that parents of young children, we are by definition part of this club where everyone is just fucking struggling to get through, trying to make it through to each bedtime every day. So yeah, we are superheroes.
It's actually not dissimilar to the days in the actual club, me drinking too much. Everyone's crying, stumbling around, shitting themselves, throwing up.
Nice.
It's the same, really. But yeah, having kids is really hard. And I think like just trying to do all of the things involved with parenting is hard enough. But the world that we're living in right now is a hot mess. The cost of living, wars, the breakdown of social fabric, and the planet is on fire. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
And like, obviously we know that we're not the only people with kids who are worrying about what their futures might be like. And we also know, because there is so much information out there. Excuse me. I just burped my tea. Excuse me.
Oh, I'm dead. Start that
Anyway, what
sentence
was I
again,
saying?
hon.
I don't know, I can't remember now. Something about it just being so much information out there.
Sorry. My veins come out.
God.
Right, okay, keep going.
Well, I think we were just saying. It can just be Millie. Stop.
Right, okay. Alright, I'm done.
It's like we're at primary school
Yeah.
again.
I'm
And the
like
two
literally-
naughty sisters in the back trying not to laugh.
Crying, okay. Whew. Go on.
I think I was just saying that, you know, there's so much information out there. And lots of it's often oh my God, you need to stop. Can you pause the recording?
Right, 1 second. I don't know what's happening. I'm just snoring a little bit. Alright. Woo! Have some gin, calm down. Whew. Alright. Okay. I am back in the room now. I'm done. Whew. Right, go on.
So with you and Lenny and Dylan are being really naughty.
What?
Or like screaming. We have to send them for a reset.
Yeah,
I think
I've
you
had a
have to go
reset.
for a
I'm
reset,
okay.
babes.
I'm okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I think where we're up to was just saying that there's so much information out there. It's often conflicting and it can be really exhausting to try and wade through it all without getting totally overwhelmed and switching off, which is a place I think we've all been at, right?
Yeah, so I completely agree. And it's, you know, we're also time poor as people, and especially with small kids, between thinking about naps, what we're cooking for dinner, teething, washing, blah, 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 all of that. I think we just want to create something that's easy to listen to, hopefully relatable, insightful, and breaks down some of the barriers that make us thinking about climate change seem so overwhelming and depressing and hopeless. So, yeah.
That's our aim. But thanks, that's what made you want to do this podcast with me. Thanks for agreeing, by
I
the way.
know, it was so fun. I think postpartum for me with Edie was just crazy, and a lot of anxieties about what planet we're bringing children into. So I just want to go from shifting from feeling powerless and overwhelmed into being empowered and taking action, and feel like even the small things that I'm doing can make a difference. I want to choose change, hon. Choose change. No one gets more fired up than scared mothers. So this should be good. You know, we live in such a disposable culture, and it's so hard when we're in a time of our lives when we have to consume so much stuff for our young children, like nappies, crazy, clothes, the amount of single-use items I've bought, it's wild. So I want to make it as simple as talking about it with you, normalizing it, looking at individual actions that can make a difference to our lives, breaking norms and shifting change, things that just make a difference, simple actions that people question their own behaviours and impact and choices, and just start shifting the norms, basically. you know, you can't change the world, but you can change your world, is how I'm going to look at it from now on. And we can change our children's world. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going with. How about you, hon?
Yeah, I think all of those things are the same. And as well, like the community aspect, I think goes to the heart of it for me. And like the opportunity to learn about and hear from some amazing people who are doing some really cool things to combat the climate crisis. I'm frustrated by feeling guilty because of choices that I make that are bad for the environment, or feeling like I'm not doing enough. It's really exhausting. And I'm kind of enraged and heartbroken by the decisions that are being made by my government here to allow massive coal and gas projects to go ahead. So I'm here for some of that informed, optimistic shit, to understand about the things that I can do more. And yeah, just learn and go through this together.
I mean, I don't want to sound stupid, but I also need you to kind of break it down a little bit into layman terms for me, because I'm very new to this whole situation. But what is informed optimism? I've obviously heard of being optimistic, but when you say informed optimism, I don't really get it.
Yeah, that's a good question. So all it means, so informed optimism is so not denying or ignoring the climate science or the realities of what a warming planet means, and just being like, oh yeah, it'll all be fine in the end. But it's sort of being informed about the climate science, the realities of what the future might look like if we don't manage to curb global warming. And through that learning, finding hope and being optimistic and resolve that, you know, things will be okay.
Okay, so that definitely makes a little bit more sense. And actually, it's probably a little bit of a nice segue into our next section about what we're going to be learning together over the next 10 episodes.
Seamless transition. Love it.
Okay, so I've always kind of paid attention to when you've been banging on about climate change or global warming, but I do have some questions. Again, you kind of need to speak to me in the layman terms. I see those as two different things. Is there a difference between them? Are we just basically having fucked up weather, hotter summers, or are we at the end of the world?
So, yeah, all really good questions. So climate change, global warming, they're the same. The warming globe causes the climate to change. Lots of this terminology is just the same thing, and depending on who you're talking to, saying what, like, global warming doesn't actually sound that bad, really, does it? It sounds pretty nice. But it's not the end of the world, but it is a pretty fucking big problem. So let's break it down a little bit. Imagine that the planet Earth has a blanket around it, which is the atmosphere made up of greenhouse gases. So things you've probably heard of, like carbon dioxide, methane, which is, you know, cows farting and burping and whatever. And they trap heat from the sun, which keeps the planet warm enough. And if we didn't have it, we wouldn't be able to live because it would be too cold. So we need it. And it keeps us nice and warm, and it enables us to sustain life on the planet. And that's the greenhouse effect, which is actually totally natural.
Okay, so that doesn't sound too scary and bad so far, I guess.
Right, but here's the problem. What we've been doing is adding sort of so much additional emissions and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that it's like adding extra layers to that blanket. So yeah, mostly by burning fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas for electricity, cars, planes, factories. It's like piling on a duvet in summer. Imagine like you're wearing that puffer jacket that you got Zach for his birthday and you're lying in bed. You do it a lot. Well, like that. And so the planet has been overheating, and at the same time we've been removing Earth's own natural systems that draw carbon out of the atmosphere that have kept a balance. So like cutting down forests, and so it's all out of whack, which is changing the climate and having these sort of like knock-on impacts to weather.
So it isn't just about the weather?
No, it's about the whole system. Oh. So like, for example, warmer oceans means stronger storms, hotter air means more droughts, bushfires, there's more moisture in the air, so heavier storms. So like the planet's climate is getting moodier and more mood swings, to relate it to, you know, maybe you. Joke. And they're all getting worse. But the scariest thing about it at the moment, or not just at the moment, but is at the speed at which all of this has been happening.
Okay, so that is pretty intense. But as much as I love you, how do I know that what you're saying is the correct thing? You could just have made that up.
Yeah, true. But it's not just me. It's the climate science and the scientists have been tracking this for years, a terrifyingly long time, actually. They've known that this is going to happen by the burning of fossil fuels. The evidence is overwhelming that the increase in temperatures can be tracked back to the start of the Industrial Revolution and when people started burning fossil fuels.
So people are causing it and people are fucking it up.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
God.
But the good news about that is that people have caused it, so people can fix it. And we already know lots of, or most really, of the solutions to fix it.
I just feel like I'm already hanging on by a thread with so much and working. Everything's so expensive. Edie's teething. She's so stroppy. And it's like, now I have to add this onto my list. And I know I have to add it onto the list because of all the anxieties I got postpartum. But it's like just so much to keep adding to our plates, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think the way to think about it, though, is like it's already on your list, babes. Things like, food prices, health issues, insurance premiums, all of these things are directly connected to climate change. And so, yeah, the system, all of the systems and all of the things are all being influenced by a warming planet. So it is overwhelming and scary, but
I think that's what
you're already being impacted.
That's what is overwhelming, is that all of this stuff is impacting as part of climate change when I don't really relate those kind of topics to climate change. Then it all comes together. So it's not just about saving the planet, it's protecting our kids' futures and what they're growing up in.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. 5 points.
I'm learning already.
All right, well, we don't need to do any more. You've worked out.
Mastered it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because, it's about their health, their safety in this world, ability to live a good life, and, especially here for Lenny and Dylan, hopefully the chance to see koalas when they're growing up because they won't have gone extinct, or they get to see the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh,
yeah.
That's actually really sad. Okay, well,
And honestly, it's sort of, about like just this and the sort of inequality and inequities of the climate crisis as well, because the people who have done the least to cause this, those countries that haven't built their economies on burning fossil fuels, are the ones who are now suffering the worst impacts for it.
I mean, that's really fucked and actually so sad if you put it into that kind of context. And it's kind of like how I've said to you prior, like, how can one person make a difference? Like, so what can I actually be doing? I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm not privy to all the information that you're privy to. I'm not an activist. I'm literally just trying to get through my day-to-day life without losing my fucking mind at this point. So what should I be doing?
Yeah. Same here, sister. Every day is literally a slow crawl until the girl's bedtime. But I think one of the best things to always remember, and it's actually something I have to continually remind myself if I'm being really hard on myself, is it's progress, not perfection. You don't need to go and sell your car and go zero waste. And like, honestly, the first step is what you're already doing, is being aware of it, learning and talking to other people about it. Like, start speaking to your mates about it. Well, I mean, not that you've got any. But, like, caring and like curiosity is a really good place to start.
Okay. And I do understand that. And that's obviously why I'm here and doing this with you. But if climate change is an everything crisis, as we've just said, like, how the hell are we supposed to pick on what to focus on? Because you can't focus on everything, because then we will be even more crazy. So is it okay to not actively be overly worried about everything,
Yeah, for like, definitely, because I think that you can't be, right? And I've certainly been guilty of feeling hopeless and feeling like everything that I do is wrong and nothing I can do is right, or anything I do doesn't really make a difference because I'm just one person, right? And I think it's, if you think about it, or what I find is a helpful way of framing it is, so the climate crisis is a collective action problem. So it's everybody's problem, right? Everybody on the planet is impacted by climate change. And so everybody has to fix it, and it's doing everybody can take actions to fix it, and it's doing the bits that you can.
Yeah.
So, where you have influence or where you feel empowered to do things. And I think one of the really important things is actually voting, and like using your voice, but there's that it's not the only one for sure. And there are so many things that you can do on a day-to-day basis, and kind of like building that community around you. I have found, and want to continue to do so, like through this podcast and through like the people that we're going to meet along the way, like building the community around you helps me certainly feel that, you're not alone. The things that you do, individual actions, but together, does make a massive difference.
I do love it. You're so passionate, and I do commend it. I want to have your passion, Charlie. But okay, so I think for me, just to like close off on this episode, I want to start thinking about things that I can be doing. What would you say is the smallest, easiest, permanent change you've made in your life because of climate change?
That's a hard one. Feels a bit like a trick question as well, like the permanent part. Because there were lots of things that I did before having the twins. But as soon as I then had 2 babies, I was like, look, fuck that. I'm going to be ordering from Amazon 9 p.m. nappy delivery immediately. It's so hard when you think of newborns or young kids, right? You're just in survival mode. So a lot of the like things that I did before, like never ordering from Amazon or whatever, really went out of the window. I kind of used reusable nappies or cloth nappies throughout periods when the girls were still in nappies, but not consistently because we don't have a tumble dryer. So during winter, it was really hard. And I felt really guilty about lots of the things. Like you mentioned earlier, like it's such a disposable time of life and you consume so much at this time of life. But I think the whole point is like, progress, not perfection. And so, I do things like I've got compost in my garden,
Yes.
Lots of like meal prepping. So there's like minimal food waste, cycle around a lot. But it's easy for me to do that because we live in an area that's pretty close to things. And we've got good bike lanes. So it's just really about figuring out how it can fit into your life and the things that you can do that don't feel like a chore, that actually make you feel empowered and engaged to keep doing them.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we did recently was we were able to change our really old, quite toxic gas hob to a electric like convection hob. Shout out to our dad, George Turner, for sponsoring that.
So fancy. So fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you made me feel really bad about my life and all the things that I don't do. I recycle.
Oh, great. That's not the point at all.
No, I know. But yeah, again, obviously, I'm on a learning journey here as much as, well, more than you are, per se. We definitely recycle. I try not to use the car when I don't need to. And I'm going to say that's about it for now. There's probably more things I do, which I don't know about, but
I think though that actually that's quite a good example already. And you do things in your life that you don't, you're not thinking when you're recycling, or you're not thinking when you're making an active choice not to drive. Oh, I've got to do this because of climate change. You just instinctively know, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, I should try and do these things. And so you are already doing lots of good stuff in your life. It's just about, maybe being a bit more conscious about it and a bit more deliberate about some of the other things that we can do.
Yeah, so I definitely need to start deliberately thinking about things that I can do which are better. And I think, I'm aware climate change is real. I'm aware our planet is on fire, and I'm ready to address it. And I want to know more. I want to learn, and I want to make small positive changes in my life that will be passed down to Edie, and she will have much better education on growing up than I have had, I guess. But yeah.
Great. Well, it's kind of another seamless segue there to our next segment about the topics that we're going to cover in our first season.
So the biggest one that I want to cover, the biggest one I want to cover is basically consumption. Yes, I don't know what that was. Just lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
So I want to cover consumption as a parent, because my purchasing decisions, even prior to having my daughter, but I don't know why I'm saying my daughter, prior to Edie, were never good. I am an Amazon hoe. I fucking love it. And I've got Prime, so it comes the next day. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think about it. I'm just I know that my Nikki sprays, I have a subscription, so they get delivered the next day. Do you know what I mean? My behaviour is so... The consumption, ordering fucking projector lights because I thought Edie would like the lights when she was a baby. Just crap like that. My consumption and purchasing decisions are out of control and very impulsive. So I want to know that. The supermarket, again, impulsive. I'd rather pay a bit more for ease. It's things like that. And, I just need to gather knowledge and provide resources to enable quick, informed decisions, because right now my decisions are not informed, they're just impulsive.
Yeah, I think I'm the same, definitely around food, for sure, about sort of feeding young children, feeding, for me, how to feed Lenny and Dylan sort of sustainably and teach them about the impact of meat and animal products on the food system. I'm a vegetarian, right? But they're not. And it's because I don't feel well enough equipped to know how to give them sort of the nutrients and the protein and stuff that they need without giving them meat. And when a baby stops breastfeeding or formula feeding, and when they turn 1, right, and everything, all the advice is, unless they've got an allergy, put them onto cow's milk. And so you just do. And this is a big topic for me, kind of learning, because we eat mostly vegetarian at home, but the girls eat meat because, I was just worried I wouldn't be able to give them everything without it. And also I don't really have the time to research a lot and spend a lot of time thinking about that. So the decision for them not to be vegetarian has been a lot of a lack of knowledge and B, lack of time, which I think is for most of these things, right?
I would definitely want to have more knowledge on that, because Edie eats really well and has a lot of good home cooked dinners, but again, never considering anything. And we both eat meat. We try and have a few veggie meals a week, but we're a bit caveman when it comes to that kind of, you need to eat meat to be strong kind of shit. But yeah, all right. And then I want to touch on greenwashing, because I know that ties into consumer products. And again, just looking at products when I'm buying them, not that I do it loads, but you see them publicized as certain things, and I just don't know what's truth and what's good. And I want to kind of touch on that. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think even for, someone like me who is reasonably well informed when it comes to greenwashing and misinformation, it's still so hard to navigate. And when you're in the supermarket trying to make a quick decision, how do you know if the nappy that says it's an eco nappy, what does that even mean? Yeah. And do you know what I mean? And there's so many things that say they're compostable or recyclable, but actually you can't do it at home. You'd have to take it to some special processing plant that doesn't even exist. I think that's definitely, and really ties in nicely to the sort of consumer overconsumption type things. There are so many ridiculous baby products that you're marketed at, right, when you're a new mum. I saw this thing the other day that looks like a mini vibrator. This lady at work was showing it, being like, ha ha, what does everyone think this is? And literally, the work Slack channel was going on. But it was like a weird, like, a portable bidet. So and it was being marketed as like, you know, a sustainable way to wipe your kid's shitty arse rather than using wipes. But it was like this big, yeah. But when I thought about it more, in theory, it sounds good, right? Because you're not using.
So is it like a water bottle mechanism? So you squirt in their ass?
Yeah, basically. But when you actually think about the practicalities of that, right? It's like, what if you've done an explosive shit? A few squirts of water are not getting that
And
off.
also, where are you squirting this water?
Exactly. So then what? The water's going all over the clothes that they're wearing if you're changing them when you're out. And I just think it's a really good example of things or products that are created to be sustainable.
The shit I would see online and I would buy and impulse buy it. That's me.
Yeah. And I think this is the other aspect of sort of, I don't think that that's necessarily greenwashing, right? Because it's not being deceptive or misleading. It's not trying to sell you something. It's not. But I think it's a good example of these like innovations of sustainable products that actually end up probably not being that sustainable, because that does not sound practical and like it would work at all. And so you buy these things, and then like loads of other shit that you buy is
you basically then just got a child with watered down shit all over them. But yeah,
exactly.
Okay, right. Next topic.
Well, there's a twin knocking on the door. It's wake up time, and she's going, "Mummy."
I can hear.
I don't know if you can hear. So yeah, and the other topics for me are sort of that I think are important to cover are what we've already spoken about. But yeah, like health is a really big one. The impacts of sort of like pollution from fossil fuel, as like what I talked about all of that stuff before. Cars on the streets, like one of the things we think about the girls is like, give me a hint. The girls we went to look round. Come in, babes, hang on, just 5 minutes, please. She said no. Yeah, we went to look at their kindergarten. It's like a really cute little thing, but obviously, as with so many schools, one of them's on quite a busy road, and their playground is right outside on the road. And like knowing so much about what pollution and the impacts of car fumes and stuff can do, it's sort of really scary. And then also the kind of impacts of temperatures on physical and mental health. Like we've said the word a few times, like anxiety, right? Eco or climate anxiety is so prevalent, and like, you know, I have enough of it in myself. I'm really worried for Lenny and Dylan. Like they're growing up in a world where they've never known anything, or they're never going to know anything other than be in a climate crisis. And so I think it'll be really nice to do to do one episode of sort of looking and thinking, like imagining the future. So it'll be like what Lenny, Dylan and Edie's, and you know what the future could be like if we do manage to hold temperatures to 1.5, and that kind of like cool imagining of that.
Okay, well, definitely when you throw out words like 1.5 and things like this is stuff that we need to touch on for sure. But I think I'm really looking forward to diving into those topics. They're definitely going to be a good talking point for us. We're going to have hot tips. We're going to have some experts along the way, which I think will be fun. But I'm going to let you go because you've got the Bambinos knocking on the door. I'm going to go finish my gin hunt and get into bed. But yeah, really looking forward to it. And the next 10 weeks, it's going to be fun. So I think goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube, listen on podcast apps of your choice. For our socials, we've launched our Instagram page now. The handle is @sistersinahotmess. And if you have any questions that you want to ask us /Charlie, and I'll listen. We'd love to hear from you. So any topics you're interested or any hot tips you might want to have, message us at info@sistersinahotmess.com. Thanks, everyone. Yay! First podcast. Woo woo. All right, babes, go sort your kids out. Peace.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Sisters in a Hot Mess is edited by Mark Spencer of Here Media and with support of the Wattle Fellowship at the University of Melbourne. And hilariously, I have not had time to even record this tiny sentence because I am literally in a hot mess.
This is a podcast about parenting in a climate crisis. We're going to tackle the tough questions and challenges that parents face when trying to best raise their kids in a climate crisis. Talk, laugh, occasionally bicker, and figure out how to raise the next generation of change makers.
And hopefully we'll manage to get through recording each episode without having to wipe anyone's arse, find anyone's bunny, or be the one that has to make breakfast.
Truth.